Well, hello there, Maria. Happy World Storytelling Day. You're as far away from me as you could be. I'm up here in the Northeast and you're away down in the Southwest. But isn't it great if we can have the stories together? And thank you so much for doing this. And I have a story that has a wee bit of a voyage in it. And this is a story of daring do and undaunted heroes. And who else but our own Finn McCool? So one day, Finn was walking along the strand at Fintra when he saw a giant come right out of the water. The giant walked right up to him and wished him good day. Finn returned the greeting and asked him who he was and what had brought him all the way across the sea to Erin. I come from the land of the big men, said the giant, and I have a message from our king for Finn McCool. Oh, now, Finn's away hunting at the present, said Finn, but if you give me the message, I'll be sure that he gets it when he returns. The king asked me to come here, said the giant, to invite Finn to come to his castle soon and to watch over the child that will be born to him next. A strong guard of the king's army watched the castle, inside and out, all day and all night when his other two children were born. But in spite of that, someone stole them away, and no one knows who did it or where they are to this day. I'll give Finn that message when he comes back, said Finn. And so the giant said goodbye, and Finn watched him go right back into the water until the waves rose up over his head. Now, the very next day, Finn was out on the same beach, and he passed a group of little men playing hurley on the sands. And when he walked past, he said, Good day. Good day to yourself, Finn McCool, chief of the Fianna of Erin, said one of the wee men. Who are you, said Finn, and what's your calling? I'm called Lazy Back, said that little man, for when I sit down, no one can make me rise or stir again. Sit down there till I see can I take a stir out of you, said Finn. And Lazy Back sat down, and Finn grabbed him by one hand and then by two, but try as he might, he couldn't raise the little man. Indeed, you're speaking the truth, said Finn, for there's no man alive can move you. Now the second man said his name was Hearing Ear, for he could hear all that would happen in every part of the world. And the third man said he was called a Far Feeler, because he was so good at feeling. What can you feel, said Finn. Oh, I can feel an ivy leaf drifting in the eastern world as I sit here in this place. And the next little man said his name was Knowing Man, because he knew all that was going to happen in eastern or the western worlds. Now the fifth man said his name was Taking Easy, because he was so clever at stealing. What can you steal, said Finn. Anything I like, said the wee man. I can even take the eggs from a bird when she's sitting over them in the nest. And the next man said his name was Climber, for he could climb the walls of any castle, even if they were made of glass. And the seventh little man said his name was Bowman, because with his bow and arrow, he could shoot one midge in a crowd of midges flying in the air. And then Finn turned to the eighth and the last of the wee men and asked him what his name was. I'm called Three Sticks, because I can make anything I like out of wood. Well now, said Finn, how long would it take you to build a ship for me? Oh, just while you were spinning around on your heel, said Three Sticks. And to prove he was telling the truth, he told Finn to turn around. And when Finn had his back to him, he picked up 3 bits of wood from the shore and threw them out on the water. And by the time Finn had turned all the way around, there was a beautiful ship ready to sail. Now, said Finn, I will sail on that ship to the land of the big men, and if you will all come and take service with me and guide me there, I will pay you well. Indeed, we'll go with you, they said, for there is no part of the eastern or western world that we do not know. So right there and then they got the ship ready with food and drink for the long voyage, and off they set for the land of the big men. And when they reached it, they pulled the ship up on the shore, and they put the tying of a year and a day on it, and off they went to the king's castle. Now the king of the big men was so pleased to see the great Finn McCool at his door that he had a wonderful feast prepared. And after they'd finished eating and drinking, king took Finn aside and told him that a son had been born that very night, but he was afraid the boy would be stolen away. My first boy was stolen when he was born, said the king, and my second also, and I fear this third child will be taken. Have no fear, said Finn. I and my men will guard that child for you, and if he's taken, in spite of our best efforts, I will answer for it with my head. So Finn told the king that the boy should be put into the strongest chamber, along with the 2 nurses to watch after him. And then Finn and the 8 small men went into the room also, shut and barred the door, and waited to see what would happen. Well, they weren't in there long when Knowing Man said, "You did a foolish thing to put your head in pledge for that boy's safety, for tonight he will be taken from us in spite of our best efforts." "Well, if you know that," said Finn, "can you be telling me now who it is that will take him?" "I can indeed," said Knowing Man. "It's the king's own sister. She's a wrathful witch, and years ago she quarreled with her brother, and now, out of envy and spite, she steals his children. Her castle is far away in the eastern world, but she leaves it, and she comes over here, makes herself invisible, and that's how she gets through the king's guard. She climbs up onto the roof of the castle, stretches her arm down the chimney, and snatches the child out of the cradle." Well, when Lazyback heard this, he moved over and sat by the fireside, and he swore a mighty oath that if the witch put her arm down the chimney that night, she'd never get it back up again with the grip he would put on it. "Knowing Man," said Finn, "be sure to tell us when she's leaving." Not long after midnight, Knowing Man said, "She's getting ready to leave now." "I hear her," said Hearing Man. "She's telling her servants to guard those other 2 boys while she comes here to steal the third." "It's time for us to be on our guard," said Finn. And not long after that, Farfeeler said, "I can feel her. She's got outside. She's got through the guards. She's up on the roof now." And they all looked and watched the chimney. Sure enough, that long arm of the witch came down, but Knowing Man grabbed onto it tight, and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled, and he tugged it so hard, the witch couldn't get her arm back up. And Knowing Man pulled it so hard that the arm came off and into the room, and Finn and all the other little men turned and looked at it in wonder and horror. And while they were looking at that arm, they weren't watching the fireplace, and the witch stretched down her other arm and stole away the child. Well, the 2 nurses turned round and they saw the cradle empty, and they screamed. And all the little men said, "Let us get away from here quickly, for the king will have our heads as well for not saving the child." "Indeed, we will not run away," said Finn. "Let us go after the witch and rescue all 3 of the sons, and then the king will be more pleased with us than ever." And that's what they did. They went down to where the ship was moored, sailed away until they came to the eastern world, and then they left the ship on shore with some of the men on board, but a few of them, taking Easy and Climber, went off to find the witch's castle. Now, her castle didn't have a door, only an opening in the top, and the walls were so steep no one could climb them. But of course, it was no trouble at all for Climber. So he put Taking Easy on his back, and he scaled that wall as quickly and easily as if he had wings. And when he got up to the top, Taking Easy went down inside. And not too long after that, he came back with a little baby. And then he brought him back down to the ground, and one of the other men brought the child back to the ship. He went back up again and came down with a second son, and the same thing with a third son. And in no time at all, the 3 boys and all the little men and Finn McCool were on that ship, sailing away back again to the land of the big men. "The witch will find out what we have done," said Knowing Man. "And when she knows those boys have taken, she will come after us and kill us all." "Be sure to tell us, Hearing Ear," said Finn, "when she finds out." "She's found out now," said Hearing Ear. "She's storming around her castle, raging at the servants." Bowman got ready. And when he saw the witch appear in the sky, he let loose one arrow that pierced the eye in the middle of her forehead, and she fell down dead into the sea. And then the little ship sailed on back to the land of the big men. They tied it up on the shore again and raced back to the castle of the king, put the baby back in the cradle, in their safe room, shut the door, and waited for morning. Well, when dawn broke, the king woke, but he didn't want to go himself in case things had not turned out well during the night, so he sent a servant. The servant peeped in through the keyhole, and he could see them in there laughing and shouting and having a great old time. And he went back to the king and he said, "They're laughing and telling stories and singing songs in there, and there were two young boys, even bigger than Finn McCool himself." Well, when the king heard that, he knew his sons were safe, and he went himself and knocked on the door, and it was Finn who opened it and led him inside and showed him the three boys. Well, great was the king's happiness. And so happy was he had another wonderful feast prepared. And this time the feast went on for 7 days and 7 nights. And that whole time that the feasting and merriment was going on, the servants of the king were going back and forth from the castle to the ship, loading it with jewels and riches of all kinds as a reward for Finn McCool, because he'd saved the 3 sons of the king of the big men from the hag of the eastern world.
Oh, wow. That was amazing, Marianne. Marianne, you've had a really busy year and you've brought out your book this year.
Well, it's almost coming out, despite what's going on. I have it with me, Maria, so I can
Oh,
show
great.
you.
We'd love to see it.
So, Ronan and the Mermaid.
Oh,
and
you hold it up a little bit higher so we can...
A bit higher. How's that?
The whole lot.
You know what?
Perfect.
I'll give you all a wee preview, because this book actually doesn't come out until April 2nd.
Oh, wow.
And we've had to cancel the launch, of course. The launch would have been at Belfast. But sure, maybe I'll do a wee Zoom launch myself or something.
Oh, brilliant.
But if for anyone who loves stories and fairy tales and legends and Irish lore, this is a story that hasn't really been heard a lot. I based it on our mermaid, Saint Liban.
Yeah.
But I also made up a lot. I had it be a little orphan boy. There he is. One of the Bangor Abbey finds him on the shore. Doesn't know how he got there. Brings him back, and they nurse him back to health. And the boy says that he'd been out with his father fishing when a terrible storm came, and the boat was overturned, and his father couldn't keep hold of him. And he sank through the sea. But it was a lady with long golden hair that brought him to safety. Some of the monks think that the poor little boy is just delirious, doesn't know what he's saying.
Oh, I cannot wait to find out.
But anyway, so
I'll be looking forward to a copy of that book at some stage.
Oh, yeah, you'll be getting a copy of that book. And what I wanted to say to people, just support your local bookshops. I think they're all going online these days. So wherever you are, wherever your favorite bookshop is, Ronan and the Mermaid, and it's Walker Books, and April 2nd, it'll be on the virtual shelves.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, and happy World Storytelling.
Oh, thank you. Good. Míle mai agad agus slán anish.
Tá fáilte rud mo cara.